Francis, tell us about the difference between the scalp micropigmentation and the tattoo.
For the traditional tattoo, we use bold lines, bigger needles, and we go deeper. And we use charcoal-based pigment. For the SMP, we use small needles, fine lines, and we go minimum 2 millimeter on the skin, and we use carbon-based pigment.
That's awesome. So now from a medical perspective, there is a lot of people get scared about the needling there. So that is, I think, one of the most common question on my barber chair.
I do have a lot of questions.
Like how I'm going to deal with it. That is needles going to go inside of my skin, and their concern is quite high. Like I will be bleeding, and maybe I will have a couple of days on the bed or whatsoever. So what's the procedure look like, and what are the needles? Why it's friendly to the skin, and why it's safe to do?
Yeah, I'm very happy to answer all of these misconceptions because I have this question a lot actually. In our skin, we have 3 layers. So when we do SMP, so we go on the second layer, but on the topmost. We don't go too deeper. By then, we don't hit any blood vessel that can cause like more bleeding. So for some people, tattooing, they go more deeper underneath. So that's why, if you can see, it's more highly risk for pain, number 1. And for the bleeding, because when they go through deeper on the dermis, which is the second layer, they hit a lot of blood vessels and sometimes they cause bleeding. For SMP, it's very rare because they're using shallow depth. As I mentioned, 2 millimeter only, and it's on the top of the second layer. So that's why it's only shadowing. It doesn't really have any long-lasting impact. And again, as he mentioned, that tattooing traditional, it's using charcoal-based pigments, whereas for SMP, they're using more like carbon-based. So through laser process, it's more easier to remove because tattooing is made to be like at least permanently.
Yeah, I agree. As well as Francis, like when the people using the SMP, we are more on poking. The technique is different, the needle is different, the ink base is different as well, and the whole entire procedure as well is different. So for that reason, the positioning actually, Francis, like once we are doing the micro pigments, the positioning is different, right?
Yeah, for the techniques, we use like for the SMP, we use like pointillism. And then for the tattoo, we use a lot of techniques. That's the way different.
The moment that we put it as a pointing, therefore, actually, that's keeping the result on its place for longer time. Like even though for like a couple of years can really stay and never spread, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's great. So for those who have concerns, like is it going to be like the tattoo spreading by the time, or looking like a little bit ugly, or having spots, which is, you know, we've encountered a lot of people who did it, and then they would have to really go through a very difficult laser treatment in order for them to reduce or remove the maximum that they could. And then after that, we would really have to rework it out one more time with the scalp micropigments in order for us to recreate for them the density one more time and give them a much better outcome.